I'm so happy to introduce our speaker today. His name is Quinlan. He's been a governmental and history teacher for over 40 years. He was a medical corpsman in the Vietnam War. He has a Bachelor's of Science degree and a Master's degree in American History from Emporia State, where I'll be later today. He is the director of Project JFK/CSI, which is a student-oriented educational experience designed for high school, college, and adults exploring the murder of President Kennedy. He's been a speaker at numerous universities throughout the Midwest. He's been a speaker at the Alf Landon Lecture Series and the William Allen Wright School of Journalism at the University of Kansas. In 1991, he was the guest historian on the A&E Network and the History Channel when Oliver Stone's blockbuster JFK movie came out. He was named the Outstanding Educator in 1994, in 2008, 2011, and 2014 by JFK Lancer, which is a national research organization. He's been studying the murder of President Kennedy for more than 50 years. He's read over 1,200 books and publications about the national tragedy that was the murder of President Kennedy. He has many electronic books and lecture series that he's been involved in, and he's a resident of Shawnee. Basically,
good morning.
good morning.
First of all, let me tell you a couple quick stories here. I grew up right here, about a mile and a half away. Went to St. Joseph High School, right across the street over here, which became St. Thomas Aquinas. And since we grew up Catholic, my dad would go to church all the time. So with my dad, I went to church. And I was always an athlete, so what we did is I said, why don't you time me running to church and I'll time me running back. So I became an athlete that way. I also became a track star in that particular sense. At least a track star in front of God in the church. I taught for 40 years. Had that opportunity in the state of Kansas and also in the state of Missouri. Here recently, within the last 3 years, I needed to go out and pursue another career because the education system in Kansas as well as Missouri did not want to hire me because they told me I was overeducated. And I said, I'll tell you exactly what I said to them. I know it. No, I'm not going to tell you that. Anyway, I asked him to conjugate a word for me. You can imagine. It's just BS. I didn't say that. I just said, can you conjugate the word, bull? And I said, basically what you're really telling me is that I have these 3 or 4 degrees. You don't want to hire me because I cost too much. Well, they can't say that, or they'll have lawsuits. But let me just tell you what I do now. I'm in the adult education business. Actually, I'm in the adult entertainment business. I know that sounds pretty heavy, right? I work for Harris. I am a dealer. Not drugs. I deal cards. I play games every day, 8 hours a day, and I deal all sorts of games. And I said, there's a place that they're going to pay me to do this? Are you kidding me? So I'm a dealer at Harris. So if you come down to Harris, you'll see me and wave to me. And usually when you come to my table, people will ask me, how are the cards? I said, they're not very good right now. Come back in a few minutes. And I said, I won't lie to you. I said, but you need to know when you sit down at the table, it's called gambling. Okay? So I've got a lot of stories from gambling at that time. But the story that kind of gets me is I got home one day and my wife looked at me and she goes, she goes, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? And I go, not really. She goes, you got bags under your eyes. I said, well, that's because I'm tired. And she goes, come in here, I want to show you this Dr. Oz thing on TV. So I go in there like a good husband, and he was saying, in order to take the bags out from underneath your eyes, take a little bit of preparation H and rub it under your eyes. And by God, I'll tell you what, it works. So I'm excited. I go to work. I tell my bosses what's going on. So the first thing my boss tells me, he says, you know, Quinlan, if you get your head out of your ass, we might get some work done here today. So for those of you who understand exactly what I'm talking about, then you might go there. I've been researching the assassination of President Kennedy for over 50 years, close to 55. I was 13 years old when the president was assassinated, and it affected my life tremendously. This is the first time in 1963 I saw grown men cry, and I had to go to my father, who was a United States Marine during World War II, and I had to ask him, I said, I thought you said men don't cry. And I saw my dad cry for the very first time, and I'm sitting there going, what is going on? It was like they lost a father or a brother or a sister or somebody, and I'm sitting there going, you gotta be kidding me. So for 3 or 4 days, that's what I saw. But we only had three TV programs, actually 3 channels. And maybe 4 if you went to WIBW or if you went to Topeka, and in those particular areas you'd have another channel. But I can remember vividly coming home from church on Sunday, and I wanted to watch Beanie and Cecil on TV. Well, it was interrupted because they were moving Lee Harvey Oswald, and I got to see Lee Harvey Oswald murdered live on TV. I didn't realize at the time that that's what it was, because we don't have all the technology that we have today, where you could play it back, enhance it, all over the place. And so my last 50 years in looking at the murder of John F. Kennedy, it's day to day. My wife says, on the 50th anniversary, she goes, is it over? I said, well, no, honey, it's just beginning. They're just opening up the archives, and they're finally going to tell us some things that we already thought we now know. Well, it's 50 years old, guys, 55 this year. I'm going to show you some things, and I know some of you are going to ask me questions like, is there a smoking gun? Oh, absolutely, there's a smoking gun, which basically means that there was a conspiracy, and there was a cover-up, and the cover-up is at the United States government level. And I know a lot of people will sit back and say, I don't want to go there. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I fought in a war called Vietnam. It is the most ridiculous war I've ever seen in my entire life. We lost 58,000 to 60,000 lives there. And for what reason? What reason? We're sending our young people over to Afghanistan right now and all over the world. You need to question that. Once you stop questioning your government, it ceases to be a democracy. That's how I taught in school. Let me open this thing up for you so you can understand where we're going to go, because we have a very short period of time, and I know, just by talking to a lot of people here, you have some very interesting questions. I can't guarantee you that I have some interesting answers, but I'll try to do my best or direct you to where you might be able to find them. First of all, I want to introduce my colleague, is David Knight. David Knight's in the back there, and David Knight, not only is a colleague, he's one of my former students. I've been researching this thing for well over 50 years. David's been doing it for 30 years. And so we finally teamed up as a colleague, and he gets his name right underneath mine. How's that? Close. All right. I want to welcome him here because he is our technician. And to be honest with you, I'm old school. I teach from books, I read from books. But I realize that the technology today, we have to have it. Either technology is going to be our undoing, or we're going to progress in the future. So if you don't know technology, you need to know it in some way. And whether it's on Facebook, not on Twitter, but I got put on Facebook by my students at Baser Linwood High School, and I didn't even know that I was on there. And somebody gave me a phone call, and they said, you know, you got 800 hits on Facebook. And I said, what are you talking about? I didn't even know. I didn't even know I was on there. So now I said, now do I have to answer all those? And he said, good God, that's a lot of people. Well, now I have about 2,000. But I don't answer them all. Some of them I'll pick out and I go, hey, happy birthday. All right? All right. This program you are about to see is based on truth. It will sometimes be sprinkled with historical speculation in order to help fill in the blanks. Over the past 55 years, our federal government, the state of Texas, the state of Florida, the state of Louisiana, the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Ohio, the Dallas Police Department, the Texas Rangers, the City of Dallas, the Dallas Sheriff's Office, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the National Security Agency, the National Photographic Interpretation Center, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the United States State Department, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Department of the Navy, the Department of the Army, the United States Marines, the United States Air Force, the entire Department of Defense, and NATO have elected not to present any and all information vital to solving the murder of President Kennedy. Why? The answer? National security. For the last 55 years, I have been butt up against trying to do research on the murder of John F. Kennedy. National security. If Oswald did it, then tell us. They can't tell us that. They'll tell us that, this is the evidence. Well, the evidence doesn't fit. In fact, it's a complete lie. I was brought up to believe in truth, justice, and the American way of life. Sounds like Superman, right? Waving the flag. Okay? Let me introduce you to the Warren Report. Let me introduce you to the Warren Report and the Warren Commission, the Warren Commissioners who put this report together. I would like to be able to tell you today that the Warren Report got it right. I would like to be able to tell you that Lee Harvey Oswald did it. That he used this rifle, a 6.5 millimeter Mannlicher Carcano rifle, Italian-made rifle, fired 3 shots from this building, the Texas School Book Depository building, from the southeast corner window. Case is closed. I would love to be able to tell you that today. This is an ongoing thing. I cannot tell you that. I can't, and I won't. We decided long ago the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. John F. Kennedy said that. And I used that to go out and research this particular murder case. If the United States government or any of these other organizations cannot solve this case in the last 55 years, then how can we go forward with all the BS that we're dealing with today? It is an unbelievable thing. We haven't solved Watergate. We haven't solved any of this stuff. In fact, my wife says, well, what are you going to do with Trump? I said, I don't have time to do Trump. I know somebody else who might have time to do Trump, but she's someplace else. In 1992, Congress passed the JFK Act. Over 4 million documents and files were released from the National Archives. In November of 2017, some 3,000 documents and 20,000 files were liberated. About 75% of these files come from the CIA, and another 12% from the FBI. The remainder are sourced from a variety of other agencies, the National Security Agency, the Church Committee, the House Senate Select Committee on Assassinations, and others. And just recently, in April, we had another group of documents that were released, and another group of documents that were put away because of national security. You know, in order to do research on the Kennedy assassination, I had to do research on every assassination ever taken place inside the United States, on every president. Do you want to know who killed Lincoln? Who cares? This is where this is going. It's going to get to a point where we don't care anymore. We need to answer these questions if you want to keep a democracy. That is the problem. Trying to define what democracy is in a capitalistic society. We all have jobs, we all need money, and we all have to live in our life, and we all buy into our program. Where does democracy come in this? It is one of the hardest things to try to separate and keep together at the same time. The large percentage of American public sees the probability that larger forces were at work in the death of President Kennedy, even if they are uncertain as to who they were. However, the problem lies not with the American people's perception of the event, but with the lack of institutional validation coming from the media, the government, and the academic world in regard to what really happened in Dallas. Until any of these institutions come to grips with the reality of conspiracy in this case, there simply isn't going to be closure. Where did the shots come from? According to the Warren Report, no credible evidence suggests that the shots were fired from the railroad bridge over the triple underpass, the nearby railroad yards, or any place other than the Texas School Book Depository building. That's what is in that book. That's what we teach. That's what we're supposed to teach in high school. Okay? Of course, nowadays you don't teach that. You just send them and say, go to, use your app and go in and find out information. And then they reiterate this thing, thinking that it's the truth. Really? Because this is what happened on Friday, November 22nd, 1963. John F. Kennedy rode in an open limousine, and he was shot to death. An execution with extreme prejudice. Now I'm going to get a little graphic here. As a medic in Vietnam, I saw a lot of people that were on this lab, trying to save a lot of different people, but I am going to tell you this. If you were to look at the autopsy of President Kennedy, he got his head blown off. Okay? A bullet hole right here. Okay? A bullet hole that the doctors at Parkland Hospital didn't see in the hairline right here. That's what's coming out of the archives. A bullet hole here. Bullet hole here. This is the grassy knoll to the right. This is the railroad bridge, or the grassy knoll to the left. Oh my God. I laugh at people when they say, my God, there must be a second gunman on the grassy knoll. How about 8? 8 people. If you're going to kill the President of the United States, you want him dead. You don't fire one shot. I can sit down right now and show you that there's at least 13 shots. Okay? All from a 6.5 millimeter Mannlicher Carcano. That was a World War I, World War II weapon. You have to do a study on that. On the 25th anniversary, I spoke at Johnson County Community College, took the rifle up there, did a demonstration for about 40 minutes. Everybody got a standing ovation because I knew the rifle. And I took it and I just threw it across the stage. That's it. It was never used. It's a prop. That's it. Oswald's rifle had a broken firing pin. They had put 3 shims underneath it to be able to line it up to shoot. But shoot, it can't be shot. It's got a broken firing pin. Okay? So that ought to tell you something at the very beginning. The power of the public state is based on the Constitution and periodic elections, and is thus limited by checks and balances. Sound familiar? Go back over your Constitution. The power of the covert deep state, in contrast, is unchecked and is expanded as the global U.S. presence has expanded. The two kinds of power were destined to come into conflict. The public state aims at openness and persuasion, democracy. Okay? The deep state represents the opposite, intervention by secrecy and violence. If you were to go back over every damn war that we have had since World War II, and including World War II, you would find out that there are different circumstances as to how we got into that. For 25 years, I would come home and I'd tell my father about all this stuff. And then in 1987, he gets a hold of me about a year before he died, and he says, you know, son, he says, for the last 25 years that you've been telling us this information, I didn't believe one damn word you said. I was flabbergasted. I sat back and I go, so what am I doing? And he goes, until now. I said, what are you talking about? He says, have you seen the movie on TV? I said, what movie? He says, it's a documentary. Bill Moyers did a documentary on the Iran-Contra affair. It says, Constitution in Crisis. And the next week they took it off. Who's they? The national media. Anybody ever see that? The Constitution in Crisis? The Iran-Contra affair? My dad says, he says, you have been telling me this for 25 years. I didn't want to believe any of it. He goes, what in God's name do you read? I said, Dad, I read everything. He says, and I said, the reason you don't believe me is because you can't pick it up and see it. And he said, and plus that, I'm 30 years younger. I'm a generation younger than you. And how, you know, God forbid that I would tell you what happened during World War II, but I said, I will. I said, you can tell me what happened during World War II because you were there. But because I wasn't there, I can't tell you. I'm going to tell you I can. If you want to study the Kennedy assassination, you better go back to World War II and to the OSS. And that OSS, the Office of Strategic Service, was brought over from Europe and became our CIA. And when you start studying that, my God, you go off into so many flanges, it's unbelievable. Okay? I'm working on a program right now. It's called Films, Frames, and Fabrications. The deep state's control, confiscation, manipulation, and mutilation of all of the known photographic evidence in the murder of President Kennedy. I'm going to present this fall down in Dallas. The Splice of Life. Life magazine. I don't know about you guys. How many of you have seen the Zapruder film? Okay? Which one? Okay? The two frames that I have up here are from the Zapruder film that is in the 6th floor museum, which is the Texas School Book Depository building. Those two frames up there, I don't know about you guys, but look a little closer on them. Do you see a splice in each of those frames? And I don't know about you guys, but trees grow strangely in Dallas. Here, and then the top of it's right here. That is a splice. Those are just two splices in that film. I'm in major arguments right now with researchers that are saying the film is intact. And so I said, bullshit. It's not intact. It's been spliced. So therefore, when I was teaching at Washburn University, my students would sit back and think, God, this is going to be great. We're going to sit down and write a 10-page paper. And we're going to document the whole thing. I said, you guys are excited for this, aren't they? They go, yes. I said, what are you going to use as basic evidence? They go, this is a Zapruder film. I said, hold on. It's spliced. In a court of law, that is illegal. It's not acceptable in a court of law because it has been tampered with. And they're going, oh my God. I said, so now you're going to work on what? Supposition? Because that's what I've been working on my entire life. I want documents to show me this. All right? Well, guess what? You see it with your own eyes? You see the splices up there? Well, wait till you find out that we're missing frames. And I'll show you a little bit about that. But first of all, I want to show you the smoking gun that nobody sees. The American media won't put this out. First of all, Post Magazine. Post Magazine, December 14th, 1963. This was the cover. Some of you are old enough to have seen this cover. Maybe some of you have this. If you have it, this is worth $500 today. Okay? Inside that Post magazine was this picture. I want you to kind of look at that picture. All right? This is what was in the magazine. It says the Texas School Book Depository. Post magazine, December 14, 1963, 3 weeks after the murder of JFK. Okay, now here's the caption. From the same building where Oswald lay in ambush, a telescopic lens reconstructs an approximation of what the killer saw at the moment of tragedy. What do you think? Do we have any shooters out here? Oh, excuse me? It's not the right angle. But back in 1963, guess what? Nobody knew that. But we believe these people because this is our media. Oh my God. I could pull that shot off. Okay? What was the purpose of this picture in the caption? To sell us that any ordinary person looking down the sight of this rifle could perform this, and that Oswald could do this. Here lies the problem. See the arrow? How many of you been to Dallas? This is the Texas School Book Depository building. Post took this picture from the second floor of the Dow Tex building, and they sold it to us. Okay? I remember my dad looking at this saying, oh my God, I could do this. He says, you could do it. He goes, you're not even a shooter. Not yet. The Vietnam hadn't come about yet for me. Woo! Where in God's name did that come from? Fake news! It's fake news! My wife asked me what fake news is. I said I've been fighting fake news for over 50 years. Lies, lies, lies. Okay? Let me introduce you to the men who sold us Lee Harvey Oswald and the single bullet theory. The Warren Commission members. Earl Warren Allen Dulles, John J. McCloy, Richard Russell, Gerald Ford, John Sherman Cooper, Hale Boggs, J. Lee Rankin, and the two people who put together what is now known as the single bullet theory. Okay? Arlen Specter and David Bell. Senator Arlen Specter's 1964 single bullet theory, a defining mainstay in American history. I could not teach school in American history unless I brought this out. And I said, this is a lie. Why would I bring a lie out? Unless you think that everything in American history is loaded with lies. Oh my gosh. Maybe it is. Unless you do actual research. These are the men who helped perpetuate this myth. Just ask Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, and Peter Jennings. Each of these media broadcasters shoved this theory down the throats of American people for the last 55 years. Truth, justice, and the American way of life? There is no credible evidence to support this theory. None! They made it up. Because they had to. The rifle had to meet the standards of 3 shots. Okay? A bullet hitting him in the back of the head and coming out the right side. Guys, the autopsy has been locked away for years. We now have the autopsy. Bullet here. Entrance. Entrance. Exit, which we already knew from the doctors at Parkland. They sold this to us for 55 years. Okay, and trivialized anyone who logically dispels this myth as an absolute idiot. Who's the idiot? Me. I'm the idiot. And I'm proud to be an idiot for this. The problem is that we need more idiots to dispel this myth. This is not what happened. I'm going to show you a smoking gun. Everybody says, well, show me the smoking gun. Show me that there was a conspiracy. Show me that there was a cover-up. Here it is. This is what was revealed back in 1992 to 1997. 4 million documents are released. How many of you read them? Shame on all of you. Here's the problem. Do you really have time to read all these things? No. If you do anything at all, you'll listen to the news media. Well, the news media, I like Tom Brokaw. I like Walter Cronkite. So I'm going to believe what they say. Okay? I did. Until I started doing research on this. And I'm going, man, are these guys lying to us? Maybe not on purpose, but they are. Okay? Here's what we found out. Military orders and cover-up. Military. Not the Soviet Union military. Not Cuban military, the United States government military. Orders and cover-up. Doug Horn, the Assassination Record Review Board, he says materials based on the National Archives that were released in 1992 through 1997, this is what happened. Commander Humes, Commander Boswell, who are going to perform the autopsy on the president. Captain Ebersol, Captain Canada, Admiral Galloway, and Admiral Kenny, who are in charge of Bethesda, Maryland Hospital, where the autopsy is going to be performed. Doug Horn clarified what happened at Bethesda between the time the body arrived at 6:35 p.m. Excuse me. Historically speaking, the body got there at 7:03 p.m. We saw it come in a naval ambulance. We saw Jackie Kennedy get out of that ambulance. We see the coffin in the back. Oh, excuse me. The body's already there. We now know this for a fact. It has come out of the National Archives. You think the national news media and these guys are going to let you know that? How many of you have heard this? Wow, isn't that amazing? This is what's in the archives. This is the documentation that's coming out. This is scary stuff, guys. It's very scary because people have lost their lives over this. All right. An initial inspection of the body of JFK was performed by Humes, Boswell, Ebersol, Canada, and Admirals Galloway and Kenny. Military orders and cover-up. Humes and Boswell were given their orders through Admirals Galloway and Kennedy, and they complied. What were the orders? Humes and Boswell were ordered to remove all evidence of frontal shots to the head of JFK, including the skull entry. All! My God, people, on November 22nd, 1963, they knew that JFK was shot from the front. They knew he was shot from the front. Now we have the documents that says, well, I guess we're not going to be court-martialed or anything, so we'll tell you what happened. We were ordered to do what? To remove all the shots from the front. Wounds and bullets and bullet fragments and any brain tissue that showed obvious bullet tracks. In order to do so, a modified craniotomy had to be performed. So Commander Humes and Commander Boswell were under military orders. I don't know about you guys. I've been in the military. Somebody tells me that's a little bit higher than I am to do something, I'll guess what I'm going to do. You want to see how this cover-up takes place? Orders. Not the mafia. Holy cow. I said, okay, let me follow the mafia. I've spent 15 years doing research on the mafia. Cuba. Soviet Union. You think the Soviet Union's over here and running our government? I don't want to answer that question today. Might get a little deep. But I just sat back and I said, who had the body? Did the Soviet Union have the body? Did Cuba have the body? Did Oswald have the body? We had the body. We have the evidence. This is what we covered up. Commanders Boswell, Humes and Boswell saw these wounds. This is the wounds they said they saw in 1997. They said, we saw a bullet wound in President Kennedy's throat. From the front. From the front. Oswald's behind. Or so we are told. We saw the back of President Kennedy's head blasted out, as all 26 doctors and nurses said, on November 22nd, 1963. And a bullet wound just above his right eye. And the wound that they didn't see at Parkland, because the body was only there 12 minutes, was the bullet wound in the hairline, President Kennedy's head. Where do you think that came from? The 6th floor behind? This is what's coming out of the archives. This is what the mainstream media will not put out. Because, oh my God, idiots like myself, and like you, because that's who they're talking about. There's no way. The cover-up is inside the United States government. That's what the cover-up is. And if you get to the cover-up, I guarantee you're going to find the people who did this. Military orders. They removed all evidence of shots to the head of JFK, including the skull entry. Now, I don't know how many of you people have gotten online to look at the actual medical wounds, and this is pretty gross. The things that you see online, right here, both head wounds right here, that is not what the bullets did to JFK. That's what the doctors at Bethesda did to JFK in removing the bullets. This is what you're seeing online. That's what they said. They said, well, what you're seeing online is what we did. We opened up his head, pulled out all the bullets and bullet fragments. This is not what one single 6.5 millimeter Mannlicher Carcano bullet did. This is what probably about 5 or 6 bullets did. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. 3 of them from the front, right front. Oswald's behind. You want to go there after 55 years? I'm going. I'm going to keep going. My wife says, how long are you going to cover this? I said, till the day I die. This is one of the smoking guns. This is what these doctors finally got a chance to say. They brought it out and they said, well, here are these documents. You want to tell us about what's going on? Yeah, we were under orders to do what? To keep our damn mouth shut, and you follow orders, or what? Or you get court-martialed. And they said it was all under what was called national security. And I have to believe that if our nation knew that we had killed our own president, what do you think? God bless people. And to me, the first casualty in Vietnam is right there. Oliver Stone had it correct, and everybody laughed at him. In fact, I remember President Bush interrupts national TV at 7 o'clock in the evening when everybody's at home after they've eaten dinner, interrupts national TV and basically states, do not watch this film. It's full of innuendos and it has nothing in fact. Go back and watch the film. It is the closest you'll ever get to the murder of John F. Kennedy. They conspired to execute President Kennedy, ordered the cover-up of his murder, fabricated his autopsy, and marketed it to America, the world, and all of history. Who are they? Any idea where I'm going to go with this? I'm not going to Russia. I'm not going to Cuba. They are the Knights of the Oval Office. They are the supervisors of death and murder management. Curtis LeMay, Lyman Lebnitzer, Lyndon Johnson, Allen Dulles, J. Edgar Hoover, and the 2 people who were talking in communication to Johnson while he was in the motorcade, and also talking on Air Force One, because now we have the Air Force One tapes, 90% of them, and they were talking about what are we going to do with the body. We got to get Jackie away from the body. It's in code. Lancer is JFK. Lace is Jackie Kennedy. So when you get through all the coded names, you find out that you got to get Lace away from Lancer. You know how they got Jackie away from JFK's body on the Air Force One? Here's how they did it. Johnson goes, hey, come on up here. I want everybody up here to witness this. Everybody. We're going to wait on Jackie. They waited 5 minutes on Jackie to get up here. She's full of blood. 5 minutes. He took the oath of office in front of everybody, except for 5 Secret Service agents. Those Secret Service agents took care of the body. Took it out of the body, put it in a body bag, took it out of the coffin, put it in the body bag, and put it in the back of the airplane. Oh, but that sounds almost sacrilegious. Sounds like something that would come out of James Bond. Jeez, what do you think we got James Bond? Right here, guys. This is what happened. Okay? The national security state. This is where you don't want to go. You don't want to go there because this is what my dad was trying to tell me. He says, do you want to destroy everything? And I go, no, I just want to know the truth. He says, if you tell us the truth, you'll probably destroy everything we believe in. Okay. Oswald did it. The Warren Commission got it correct. Now, that interpretation is called bullshit. That is an absolute lie. We covered it up at the highest levels because we did it. CIA killed John Kennedy, but not without permission. The Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, ordered JFK's execution because they believed he was a traitor. The CIA is the covert arm of the Pentagon. You think it's the covert arm of the president. It's the covert arm of the Pentagon. These people who sponsored the assassination of President Kennedy had the means, motive, opportunity, the talent to make it succeed. After 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, LBJ was safe in the office of the presidency. Safe from illegal demons that were haunting him because you could not kill a president one day and impeach his successor right after the funeral. The reputation of the nation, as well as its ever so prestigious stock exchange and banking industry, would not have survived. So LBJ got a get out of jail card free. And he revalidated happily every time that he threw billions of dollars in young lives in the rice paddies of Vietnam, 10,000 miles away. In the end, it became a covert military operation designed to conceal the true facts behind the murder of President Kennedy. Any questions? Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, in 55 years, reading over 1,200 books on this, I have come to one conclusion. I did not kill JFK. Two conclusions. Lee Harvey Oswald did not kill JFK. Lee Harvey Oswald is a CIA operative, low-level FBI agent. That's what's coming out of the archives. FBI informer, and he probably did not know very much about what was going on other than the fact that he was told by the FBI as well as the Office of Naval Intelligence to infiltrate a group of anti-Castro Cubans who were planning to murder the President of the United States. And when he was captured, he goes, I'm just a patsy. Yes?
Website?
I do. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I really appreciate the time, and it's real hard to get a lot of this stuff done in about 20 to 30 minutes. And I appreciate the opportunity to come down. Now, controversial? Oh, it's controversial. Okay, it's very controversial. But I'll show you our website. Dave, you help me on this, make sure we get back here. Okay, there's our website. If you are interested in this, I am teaching classes along with David and Brian Edwards. We just got through teaching, we actually had 4 lectures, and those lectures are recorded. And if you're interested in those lectures, I think, David, are these $10 each?
Yeah.
You're welcome to come up and look at these things, but probably starting in the fall, I'm going to start doing another lecture series. We did it at the Shawnee Civic Center, but after looking at this venue, wow, we can have dinner here and study the murder of JFK. But not just the murder of JFK. How about Vietnam? How about Watergate? How about the Iran-Contra affair? I doubt very seriously if very many of you even know what the Iran-Contra affair is. But I can guarantee you this. The new president of the National Rifle Association is Oliver North. God damn good American, right? Give me a break. It's all right. We had a guy running in West Virginia. The guy who was in control of the mines where so many of those people were killed. All right, guys, I know you got to go, and I know the rain's stopped right now. But again, thank you very much for, and I'll stick around if you want to ask questions, but that's our website. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Casey, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for that wonderful talk. Our mission here is to have our speakers sign a book, and we donate it to a local children's library. And the name of this book is Back in Time.
Love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. Casey?